For this section, we're tasked with solving what are called literal equations. Now, literal equations is simply a fancy name for an equation that has more than one type of variable. Before, we can see we were working with things like this, where we just had a variable x. Addition was undone with subtraction, and we have x equals 6. On this side, we're adding, and we're going to undo that the same way using subtraction. However, before I start, I have a very important detail that's missing right here. In order to be able to solve these, we need to know which variable we're solving for. So always look for that detail. We solve for, and I could choose x or z. I'm just going to choose x for all of these, and we'll eliminate the z. So I'm going to subtract z to eliminate the addition there. And we have x equals, now over here, 9 minus z. I can't do that calculation because I don't know the value for z. So I'm just going to leave that as 9 minus z, and we're finished. Here we have subtraction. We're going to undo that with addition. That gives us x equals 12. Over here we have subtraction. We're going to undo that with addition. And that gives us x equals 9 plus z. Over here we have multiplication. We're going to undo that with division. So we get x equals 3. Over here we have multiplication. So we're going to undo that with division. So that gives us x equals 9 divided by z. Here we have division. We're going to undo that using multiplication. We get x equals 27. Here we have division. We're going to undo that using multiplication. And we have x equals 9z. So as you can see, the same steps are used when we have variables. They work just like numbers. We just have to decide what do we need to undo. So we're going to use those steps to solve a few equations over here with multiple variables. Now again, pay attention to what we're solving for. For all of these, we're going to solve for x, and then the others will get some different variables. So we need to get this x by itself, which means we need to eliminate this term with a y. We're going to do that by subtracting y. That leaves us with negative 3x equals 13 minus y. We're going to finish out by dividing by negative 3. Very important note here. This entire side is being divided by negative 3. We need to divide this entire side by negative 3, which can be written this way, or if you prefer, you can write it as 13 divided by negative 3, and then a negative divided by a negative ends up being positive y over 3. I kind of like it this way. If I can simplify those, I can't, so for me it doesn't really matter. Both of these would be correct. Leave it this way or that way. All right, let's solve for x here, which means we need to get the x's together. So let's add 2x over on this side. Add 2x, we get 18x plus 9 equals 9y. Let's eliminate this term. So we'll subtract 9. We get 18x equals 9y minus 9, and finish this out by dividing by 18. Okay, now these can simplify. 9 goes into both 9 and 18, so that would be 1, and this would be half y, and then this would also be minus 1/2. So simplify where you can. All right, this one we're solving for h. H is right here, so we're going to eliminate the term that does not have the h first. I always try to do that, eliminate the terms that don't have the variable. To eliminate an entire term, we're just going to subtract it away. Subtract 2 pi r squared, and then the other side we'll subtract 2 pi r squared. So we get s minus 2 pi r squared equals 2 pi RH. Now these are all being multiplied to the h, so I'm going to undo all of them at once by dividing by 2 pi r. And then we'll divide this side by 2 pi r. So we get h equals s minus 2 pi r squared over 2 pi r. Now this is the formula for the surface area of a cylinder. So we can use this to kind of rearrange for different things, and it makes life a little bit more convenient. Let's take a look at the last one. This is the physics formula for the force of gravity. You'll notice that all of these are multiplication and division, so it kind of doesn't matter where we start on this one. I'm going to start by eliminating this g. I need to solve for this m1 right there. G is being multiplied, so I'm going to eliminate it through division. So we get f divided by g equals m1 times m2 over d squared. We're going to eliminate the d squared by multiplying by d squared. Multiply this by d squared. We get f d squared over g equals m1 times m2. And finally, we can finish this out by dividing by m2 to solve for m1. Divide by m2. Now, dividing a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, so I'm going to flip this over and instead multiply by 1 over m2. That makes our calculation a little nicer. So we end up with f d squared over m2 times g equals m1, and we are finished. Thank you.